guys. Happy Rocktober. Happy Halloween. Welcome back to the Rockwardness podcast, where, as you may remember, we interview musicians about what got an instrument in their hands, what got them writing songs in the very, very beginning, and they play us one of the first songs they ever wrote. We talk about what kept them going down the path, even when it was scary, what they're doing now, and what they're doing next. I'm your host, Rose Sean. You know my co-hosts, Terence LeClaire and Tony Tancredi. We have been on a brief hiatus, but we are back with a real banger of an episode. I am so excited about this one. We interviewed the iconic Dandy Warhols. We met up with them on their recent U.S. tour, and what can I say? They just delivered the goods. If you somehow snoozed on these guys for the last 30 years, the Dandy Warhols are a Portland, Oregon-based rock band who exploded out of the box in the early 90s with the catchy, dark single, Not If You Were the Last Junkie on Earth. It has a video directed by David LaChapelle, one of the biggest photographers of the 90s. Their 2000 single, Bohemian Like You, was featured in a huge ad for Vodafone in Europe and the cult classic TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Their 2003 single, We Used to Be Friends, was the theme song of Veronica Mars, one of my favorite TV shows ever, and was also featured on The OC, which is not only one of my other favorite TV shows ever, but was just also like ground zero, the place to discover cool music in the mid-2000s. They were the subject of an award-winning documentary film called Dig, which followed the Dandies and their friends, the Brian Jonestown Massacre, for 7 years as their careers were launching. This band has released 10 studio albums. They've toured the world, and they built their own studio, clubhouse, stage, set, wine bar, whatever, the auditorium on an entire city block in Portland in the spirit of Andy Warhol's factory. We talk drugs, orchestral instruments, artificial intelligence, and the unconventional ways Courtney got his first 2 guitars. Stay tuned to hear all about Portland in the 90s and how the dream of the 90s may no longer actually be alive there, contrary to what you've heard. I think I've probably said enough, so let's get into our backstage chat with Courtney Taylor and Pete Holmstrom, founding members of the Dandy Warhols. Well, that was perfect. We're backstage at the Bellwether with the Dandy Warhols.
Yay. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Peter.
Pete.
Hello.
It's great to meet you guys.
Yay.
Excited to talk to you. You're touring with your new release, right? You have an album coming out, and you just put out a single called Summer of Hate.
Mm-hmm. I love the video for that, by the way.
Oh my gosh!
Is it like AI and stuff?
We will talk about that.
Okay, It's an interesting topic, and everybody rolls their eyes if you bring up AI, but in a pure creative form where it's not going to take over and destroy the global economy of Earth. It's fun and it's interesting. It's weird, but if you want to talk about that later, cool.
I definitely want to talk about that. But we just kind of on our show, we kind of like to start first talking about like the way back. You guys started the Dandy Warhols in what, like 94?
Started in 93.
93, yeah. Our official birthday is end of January. 94.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's funny because we were talking off the pod. Like we're in the Bellwether, which used to be Prince's club, Glam Slam West, which was from 93 to 95, which is like right around the time you guys started.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that it was it impressed upon me, or probably upon us, that we need to do this.
Wow.
Not Glam Slam, but Prince's place, in Minnesota.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So the song we were just playing is from that first batch of song. Like we never play that song, but it's off our first record.
That's cool.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
That song, Just Try.
That's off Dandy's Rule, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Tony's personal motto is just ask, which is like pretty close to just try.
I think Zia's is more like, don't ask, but if you get in trouble, ask for forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
That's
we like
good.
that one,
Yeah.
too. I'm actually curious. I read somewhere that you guys met at like a symphonic summer camp. Is that right?
Yeah, we were both classical musicians in high school.
What was your instrument?
He played sax, and I played just percussion.
Right on.
But I was in marching band and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
Cool.
What else did you play? You played clarinet and sax? And all
No, it was
that?
just saxophone.
Okay.
For orchestra, I used to learn bassoon parts on the baritone sax.
Oh, that's
Bassoon.
So cool.
I do. You know what?
Because there's
I
no
love
baritone
a
sax in orchestra.
The baritone sax
There's no
is.
bassoon.
No, there's no baritone sax. Only bassoon.
Although marching with a bassoon would be pretty amazing.
I mean, I kind of think the baritone sax is like the sexiest of the orchestral instruments, personally.
Yeah, because rockabilly.
It's the
Come on.
sexiest of
Yeah.
saxophones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the only
certainly.
sax.
It's not
the
saying
only
a lot, though.
Do you remember
saxophone.
that band Morphine? That was
Oh,
like.
hell
man.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but do you remember Carl Kanga? Now that was some Barry sax.
I wish I did, but
Nobody's gonna know. Carl
I know
Kanga.
it's a 50s rockabilly style 80s Swede called
Whoa.
Carl
Okay.
Kanga that you had one song that was just super cool.
Well, yeah. There was one song. It was a cover of an Iggy Pop song.
oh,
That would
sick.
be why.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Cool on cool. So, what got a guitar in your hands? How did the rock call to you?
Well, I was always a drummer, my whole
Yeah.
childhood. I mean, how I got a guitar in my hands was my friend up the street whose dad, he had a dojo, and he taught like kung fu and Tae Kwon Do and Tae Kwon Do and all this stuff. He said he wanted me to trade him drum lessons for Tae Kwon Do lessons. And I said, well, I spar with Vern, his son, pretty much 5 days a week, because we were bored and we're teenagers.
Yeah, your boys.
So I said, no, that's fine. I don't need lessons. And he goes, well, I have a guitar I don't play.
Oh, sick.
I'll trade you drum lessons for that fake Les Paul.
Wow.
So that's my first guitar, and I don't know what happened to it. I have no clue. But then when I was later, I was a janitor at a strip club. It got shut down for prostitution and racketeering.
Oh no.
This was in Portland?
Yeah.
Classic.
And somebody had left their imitation 335. So I just stuck it in the janitor's closet and then just left a note on the counter. Yes, whoever this is. It's Well, it got shut down that night. The cops came, or the next night, the cops came and raided it. And so I went down there and I just took
You rescued it.
the guitar, all the toilet paper, all the everything.
That's like gold, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that was the guitar I started the band with Pete with, And then what was your first guitar?
When we lived outside of San Francisco, my dad, across the street was a neighbor who made really, really nice classical guitars.
Ooh.
Oh, sweet.
My dad asked him to go find a $100 guitar, so back early 70s. And that's what I learned how to play on. I've still got it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
My dad learned 2 things and then never touched the guitar
He's like,
again.
here you go.
And he taught those 2 things to me, and then
Yeah, and you obviously went with it.
yeah.
So was the Dandy Warhols your first band, or did you have any projects before that?
I was a drummer in a million bands.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Playing in punk clubs since I was, pretty young. Like I was 15 the first time I
Oh,
played
yeah.
Satyricon, and my parents were real cool. They were fine with it. My dad was just kind of naive, He would drop us off. Just, we had high hair and nose rings and mom's blouses, and
Yeah.
and he would just drive us downtown, and don't step on the needles, kids.
Oh, jeez. Just like, have fun.
Yeah,
Wow.
literally, and and help us load our stuff in,
That's great.
and then I'll see you at 1:30 and come back at 1:30 in the morning.
And he'd pick you up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So nice.
See,
That's amazing. We love supportive
we love
parents.
supportive parents.
Awkwardness.
This comes up a lot. It's
yeah.
Man, that's really cool. So you just played in a bunch of punk bands, and then
More new wavy kind of. I never really got myself into a true thrash or punk band.
All right. At what point did you decide you wanted to start writing?
The minute I got that guitar from Vern Sr., I 4-track recording was very accessible through adapted, cassette, the cassette format. So I bought one of those and just started recording, and that necessitated songwriting to some extent.
Sure.
Was the Dilemma Sect your first band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dilemma Sect. That's a good name.
I was asked by
Portland's first goth band.
Oh, amazing.
I was asked by these goth kids that were a couple years younger than myself to show them how to write songs. And so I did, and then did they not have a guitar?
They didn't have a guitar player.
Okay. And so I must have then just called you and said, "Hey man, come over here. You got to play with these goth kids. They're cool." And they were cool. That was a
Super cool.
really cool band.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
At what point, after, did you work on a bunch of songs? Did any of those 4-track recordings become Dandy Warhol songs?
No.
No. It was just practice.
Not those. Four-track.
Later 4-track recordings.
So 4-track recordings later on.
10 years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what kind of music were you into writing back then?
As a kid in high school?
Yeah.
Oh, Bauhaus.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be Peter Murphy, singing like
Oh
that.
my God, that makes so
and
much sense. Yeah.
doing this in the mirror.
Right.
and-
Yeah.
Oh, in the
love
mirror.
it.
Cute.
I can imitate Peter Murphy.
I bet you can. I bet you can. That's great.
That's cool.
I also like the practicing in the mirror. You got to.
It's essential.
Yeah. You gotta find what that. What
I
the
never
vibe is.
did that, after, when I became like the singer in a band, which I'd never done in my life. Never practiced anything. Never looked at myself doing it in the mirror and thought, I should stand with my legs a little more bent, or
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't even figure out how to make sure I look good in photos live until just a few years ago. I got the pedal board set up, and I got my got the Crybaby over there, and I'm like, man, as long as I just don't accidentally click it on, when I don't want it to be on, I can just put my leg. That's just really, I saw a picture of myself doing that or something online, and was like, I'll just do that the whole time.
That's right. It's a good stance.
It's a bit victorious.
It's like
Casually victorious.
It's just confident. I mean, it's tough to get a good still photo of somebody who's singing too, because in video it all looks normal, but then you catch this weird still of your mouth open or whatever. So yeah, that consciousness of where's the camera? But also, good photographers should be able to figure it out.
And they're getting better. Everyone's getting better because of the phone thing. This new phone.
These iPhones the kids have. So can you tell us a little bit about the start of the Dandies? Did you just get together and be like, "Hey man, let's start a band," or what?
Almost, I suppose. I'd been living in New York, and Courtney and the band he was playing with at that time stayed at my apartment when they came and did CMJ. CMJ?
Yeah.
CMJ, yeah. And I don't know, it looked like they were having more fun than I was having in East Village, so I moved back. Courtney came and helped me drive across country on my
Yeah, and I used to
van full of
come
crap.
out and stay with him because it's like, shit, you got a friend in New York.
Yeah,
you
that's-
go.
Oh, yeah.
You're from Portland, Oregon. You really go. You
Yeah.
know? So he had all the friends with cool record collections, and he had great vinyl and stuff. So I knew all the new cool bands that were coming out. So when he got back to Portland,
Yeah, and you got kicked out of the band you were in.
and stole my girlfriend.
Yeah, and stole your
Oh,
It was the
goodness.
two best things anyone's ever done for me.
That's a thank you for saying no moment right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So great.
Yeah, wow.
What luck.
Now,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question? Was this, I think it's in your Wikipedia or something, there's this funny reference to an unsuccessful experiment with having your girlfriend in the band. Was that girlfriend?
No.
Although that's literally what Wikipedia says.
That
Their
one
words,
ended
not mine.
up with my ex and this ex-singer and ex-girlfriend. They ended up having this heroine sort of threesome while I was gone somewhere, and kind of came home, and maybe it was on our first tour, kind of came home, and she was a junkie, and he had actually called me, Strangel, as we call him. he called me and he said, "Hey, while you were gone, we shot some dope with my ex-girlfriend," and he goes, "I've seen this. I mean, she liked it too much.
Oh shit!
Like she really liked it." And I was like, "Yeah." And heroin was just like cigarettes in the 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing it, and it was only a matter of time. I mean, we lost a friend or an acquaintance a year to that shit for like 10 years of our lives.
It's terrible.
Jesus.
But and then there was this kind of one night she came with. But anyway, that's where that "Not If You're the Last Junkie on Earth"
Oh, okay.
came from.
Interesting.
From that particular thing.
Interesting. That is
It
actually.
wasn't
It is
about
not
Anton.
about anyone.
Yeah.
No.
I would never write a song about him.
Right, yeah.
Well, maybe I will. Maybe, but
coming, yeah.
We didn't have that kind of relationship.
That's
We didn't have a relationship of internal spiritual growth. Actually, I'd say Anton and I do now.
That's nice.
We're both concerned with personal growth, a lot. So we can have, short, quick little convos about that when we see each other. It's mostly as a good chuckle,
Yeah, I saw they're playing here in a couple days.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
This very
Oh, I
thing.
didn't realize that.
Maybe there'll be a dig 2.
Oh God.
Nope.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
It'd be
Well,
uninteresting as fuck.
well, I don't know. I don't know what your life is like now behind the scenes, but I can only imagine like maybe a little less shenanigans.
Yeah.
Little less interest in airing your dirty laundry probably. But I'm curious, I read a bunch of press about you guys, obviously, because I wanted to ask you smart questions. Did you really just like meet Zia in a coffee shop and be like, hey, want to join my band?
No, not even that.
I was,
There was
When-
a coffee shop involved.
okay.
One of my friends, who was very pivotal in the formation of this band, because he knew Zia and said, I know a chick I work with. There's a chick that I work with that I'm friends with. She is amazing. She's funny as hell, and she's just amazing. She wants to be in a band. And I said, great. Have her meet me at this coffee shop at this time, and I'll see you, whatever. He was also pivotal because at a party that go to the, we had gone to a party, as we were going to parties all the time as Pete was back. And they were all like my college. I went to music college, so it was a lot of music college friends. And one night he just goes, all your friends have terrible taste in music. And we've got to put a band together, just playing, because I wasn't in a band, so I was coming up with like halves of songs, like I always did, 4-track recording them with effects and everything, and he started learning them, just these
cool.
3-chord jams that I would get long, tripped out things going and write very few lyrics. That I was not interested in being a lyricist ever in my life, but that's that was kind of what was going on back in Portland. It was the 90s, so there was terrible music out there. I mean, worse and more than ever at any other time in history, I would guess. So yeah, he was very pivotal. And Zia, I met and was like, she's funny, she's cool, what I did is I just sat down. I go, oh yeah, hi, yeah. Have a seat, grab coffee or something, and I just kept reading the paper. And I just ignored her for like 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
And during that time, she got up and got a paper and sat down and
cool.
So she just like waited you out?
Yeah.
That's great.
And finally,
like the
I
movie
just
Secretary.
put the paper down, and I was done with my coffee, and she was done with her hot chocolate. And I go, do you want to try playing some music? And she goes, yeah. I go, great, live a block away, let's walk over. And I went down, and I said, what do you play? And she said, nothing. And I said, okay, cool, perfect. The white keys are A through G. You can find C by looking at the 2 black keys that are together. The one right below the first one is C. So where's A? And she goes, okay, cool. Now show me where E would be. And she goes, oh, great. And so the first thing we did was E to A to G. And she goes, And I was like, you're in a band.
Perfect. Like,
That was it.
good job. Yeah.
That was all, yeah. And I had been in so many bands as a drummer, and, people just brought bad, accelerated technical musicians, particularly at a young age. They bring so many bad habits and stupid cliches and just garbage. So it was just easier to me and Pete, just learn the chords. He had a bunch of great pedals and was into the textural stuff so heavy that it was kind of fail-safe as long as I just kept it what I liked, which was 2 or 3 chords or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, also in the 90s, being stupid, mean, and large was like cool. You're the coolest guy.
Right.
And I knew that between Peter and I, and then Eric Hedford, who I really wanted as a drummer because he was the coolest DJ in Portland, and I knew that he played drums, but he had never played drums in a band. He had played keyboards and sang in a band, and was a great studio producer, and had been also producing, local stuff and his own stuff. But he was also into shoegazer stuff and DJ'd, the Charlatans and the Stone Roses and stuff. So he had to be the guy. And then I gave him a cassette, and he finally got back to me and was like, because he had blown me off for months, I don't want to play in a rock band.
Yeah, right.
Like, just listen to it, man. And he finally goes, I didn't know anyone was doing anything like this in Portland. This is amazing. Yeah, let's get together. And then he starts singing harmonies, just sets up a mic for himself and starts singing harmonies. And we were just going, oh my God,
Damn.
this is going to be great.
You really that's interesting. You really thoughtfully curated your lineup. That's pretty smart. I think a lot of people are just like, well, my friends play.
For the style that they're into.
Yeah.
Not for any skills whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, but
style.
I think it
knew
worked out.
that. I knew that by then.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows that. Just get the friends with the same taste as you. But back then, friends with the same taste just had record collections. They didn't have instruments. They didn't know how to play them. So, I was lucky that Pete could play the basic chords and bar E and A, which was all I could do as well.
Right,
you couldn't
perfect.
even play standing up at first.
I couldn't play standing up.
That was a hurdle you had to deal with.
Yeah, I had never done it. I had only sat down and recorded
Right.
and laid on my back and wrote songs in the dark,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny. That makes a lot of sense.
I had never heard my voice come through a monitor and have to hear. Oh my!
Oh no!
God. I hear myself.
Yeah, the initial shock of all of that.
Yeah, and it was Peter that made me do it. I kept wanting to. Well, let's just take a break, and he would go, I know what that means. No, we're not. No, we're not. No,
That's
you're
funny.
gonna.
I'm still doing that.
Yeah. You're gonna stand there and you're gonna keep doing it until it's easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, it's funny, people think you practice the instrument as if that's the only skill involved. It's no, you got to practice every part of it. I mean, even if you add a new pedal to your board, now you got to it's
Oh my God.
there's a lot of different skills.
And I found out the hard way you need to practice plugging your pedals in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a chain.
The first show, I plugged them in backwards. And
Oh,
I had no
no.
idea why nothing was working.
Oh, God.
It's terrifying.
And was that the kind of show where you had a sound check, or were you get up to play and
No,
you're
no
oh
sound.
no, everything's
You're
not
just
working?
on.
No sound checks.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I
just
didn't
throw
know
and
what
go.
a sound check was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say there's there's just nothing more nerve-wracking than being on stage and knowing the audience is waiting for your gear
Yeah.
to
Oh, that show, is that the show that got recorded?
No,
That
no,
was
that was the absolutely first one we did.
Okay.
There's no reason why anybody would want to record us.
They weren't just accidentally recording everybody that night?
No.
Okay, then the one we put out from the X-Ray was...
Yeah, that was the last X-ray show that we played.
Okay.
That first show though, was that just that a regular music venue? It wasn't a
Yeah, it was, maybe 3 times the size of this room. It was all ages.
That's the
Nice.
X-ray, right?
Yeah, the X-Ray Cafe. And it was, legendary. Just alternative, a lot of high school artsy, freaky
A lot of
dropouts.
street kids.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And
I'm
it
just
was-
thinking like
yeah.
exactly the kind of show that I wanted to be at
Yeah.
that time, but did not exist where I grew up.
Oh,
at
yeah.
all.
Yeah, like those darn accordions would play it, and just any whack
Yeah.
thing going on in anywhere in the 90s, they could come through and play it, and make $37 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh,
Were you called
37.
Dandy Warhols then?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You had decided on the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been in the band
That's
forever.
very cool.
The name
You're
came before a
curating.
drummer came.
That happens. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pete had brought back a bunch of when he moved to New York, he'd gotten into Andy
Well, I was an art student, of course.
Well,
Of
you
course I
have
did.
to. Yeah.
in New York.
No, I was in Dandy Warhol in high school. It's like,
And so it was Andy Warhol was in the air of our apartment a lot, and he used to just say the word dandy a lot.
Oh yeah.
In a cynical, sort of mildly
Oh, just
cynical.
dandy.
Dandy.
yeah. How are you doing,
Just-
Dandy?
Yeah, and I woke up one morning in that half and went, the Dandy Warhol. Oh my God. And, a lot of that is because of the factory, and we would look at these pictures of these people, they're so filthy and fabulous, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
And then, except we don't want that amount of junkies
Correct.
dying and
Yeah.
Side note.
and
yeah.
so it was perfect that we were just a kinder, gentler Warhol
Yeah.
Right. I love that.
thing. It really worked out quite appropriately in ways that we had never
Yeah.
even tried at all. And then when we started meeting Andy's people, Stephen Sprouse was still alive, Paige Powell had moved back to Portland, and she interviewed us, and that was, it was amazing. But they all said the same thing, they'd come to see us in New York, and Stephen was, I thought I was going to hate you when I saw your name, but Andy would have loved you. And it was just so flattering. It was amazing.
I mean, that's a pretty solid endorsement.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the painting behind you.
Yeah,
the wall,
yeah,
too.
it's funny. We
know.
just happened to be in a sort
Full
of
circle.
Warhol-esque wallpaper
You and your full
situation.
circles,
He
man.
looks-
You're
I
on
don't-
acid every
I just pointed
day.
out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what was the very first song you wrote for Dandy's?
Well, the first one that I made you teach me
Was Lou.
was Lou. Yeah.
So I thought that would be a fun one to play. We'll play part of it.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay,
going to make
yeah.
you sit here for 6.5. Also, I can't. I'm not really warmed up, so I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
sing falsetto like I used to. How's it? Well, baby, just look at Lou. Yeah, you do what you wanna do, and nothing less for you than whatever will get you through. Now I certainly seem like a pickle dude when you notice I'm staying and staring at you. And I can see you've got the heroine blues. Really, it looks so good on you. Now, baby, just look at Lou. I know women who wouldn't want to be seen, and that's okay too. Those women wouldn't look good on Lou. Now you always act so cool. Oh, waiting for your man on Lexington Avenue, but no one's there to hook up horrible you. So whose place are you going to?
We got a little, bass accompaniment from the Black Angels. We're sound checking right now.
Rumbly, noisy low end. That's great.
Yeah.
Our buddy who was a bass player for Adam and the Ants, Chris Constantino, is in town, and he plays flute with us on that song.
Cool.
And has for 15 years at least. Whenever we're in the same town, so he might show up to might not.
That'd be amazing.
We can't really. We're on because we're doing. We both do the same length of set, so we can't really change our.
Right.
When you find a great set list that works, because this one took a few days to bang out, but it's pretty
solid
hot.
now.
It's pretty hot now. I was hoping he would just walk in.
Oh my God!
Wouldn't that have been cool?
With his axe, as he calls it.
That would have been sick.
Yeah, that's the one. We had Peter and I were roadies for a band called the Swingline Cubs. They did a lot of weddings and stuff, and so we had access to these great multi-instrumentalists.
Oh yeah.
So our first record is orchestrated in a massively cool way.
Yeah,
And
wedding musicians are they're all just sick.
they can play anything.
Yeah, super
all
solid.
the different styles.
Yeah.
I remember that was Teddy Dean.
Teddy Dean, yeah.
Who played in the Holy Modal Rounders, who actually lived with the Velvet Underground in the early 60s in
Oh wow.
New York. So we had this cool old guy, and I remember when he got it all together, and he's listening to the song. He goes, "Do you want more like this, like Jethro Tull?" And he was going, the really spitty, strikey kind of thing. Or he goes, "What about White Rabbit?" And he starts playing like that smooth psychedelic. Yeah, and I was like, God, I'm so lucky to have somebody as that hip.
Somebody that's that hip and that versatile.
Yeah, skills and understands what we are, so it's going to be this or that, and yeah, it was really great. I don't remember what I said. I said somewhere in between. I think that's what it sounds like.
It does.
Yeah, split the difference.
And who is it? Julie, the singer? Is that her name?
Right. On the other one that you were playing, Just
she
Try.
sang on Just Try. It's just beautiful, gospel background.
Yeah, she just knew what she was doing. They're just super pros.
That's so awesome, and it's pretty cool too sometimes to get people in who aren't necessarily part of the scene.
Oh yeah.
They're just really good musicians, so they don't.
Well, they sure would have been part of a scene at some point in their much younger lives.
Yeah,
Musicians tend to, or used to tend to.
But I think it kind of helps sometimes to get somebody who is at least outside of your scene. Because, one of the things...
Oh, that's great.
Because you guys have always been kind of doing, a different thing at a different time than anybody else. So that
it's part of how we... It's one of the only things we actually apply to ourselves to control what we do or limit what we do in any way is generally to just not do anything that is being done currently or is being done well currently.
Right. That's an important distinction for sure.
We're I say this all the time, but we are the garbage men of rock. Just whatever no one's doing or no one's doing right.
Right.
We'll clean it up. We'll get out there and sweep.
You're the janitor at the strip club.
Yeah. I'm not going to say full circle.
Oh my God. I drop acid every day.
Real quick, your lyrics are really hilarious and clever. Was that easy to kind of, when you started writing songs, where did that come from? I'm thinking about
desperation, necessity and desperation. Oh my God. I didn't learn how to become a songwriter until COVID. It was always just sitting around waiting for them to come out. And Pete used to tell girlfriends, half jokingly, if he doesn't write a new record pretty soon, you're going to have to break up with him.
Just kidding, but not really.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because actually, to the same point, like I'm sure that the first song of yours I ever heard was "Not If You Were the Last Junkie on Earth," and I mean, I don't even know how I heard it because we did not have a cool rock station in my hometown at all.
Oh, what was that hometown?
Blacksburg, Virginia.
What, Berg?
That's what we all say.
Blacksburg, yeah, it's where Virginia Tech is. That's about all it's got going on. But like, I used to be able to like, if I just like got the right juju going, like wiggle the antenna on my boombox, and sometimes I could get the modern rock station from Charlotte, North Carolina, which is far away. So that was probably where I heard
a big college town, so it would have coolish stuff.
Yeah, but I heard that song, and like I just immediately was like, I wish I was like worldly and hip enough to write a song like this.
Yeah. It's like
So it's funny that you say like, oh, I didn't really know how to write lyrics. It's like, well, you did.
Yeah, that thing just came. They all came out in a blob. The first whole thing comes out in the chords and the matter, the stuff of the thing comes out in one blob, and then you have the job of actually trying to write more, and that's really hard. And I mean, I've heard everyone talk Bob Dylan, like you have to force yourself to keep going, man, get it done and get out before you get kicked out.
Right.
Yeah.
This song.
Yeah, this one.
Save me. I'm running out of time.
I know this is the bonus actually, as we get the Black Angels in the background.
Yeah.
It's a bonus every night.
Watch it all slip away.
Oh, that's great.
And then this is the clincher right here. He goes, I'll leave a garden for your kids to play.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Man, have you ever been on tour with somebody whose music you didn't like?
That we didn't love?
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have
Did
to
we
name
have to do
names.
whole
I'm just
tours?
curious.
Oh, like opening for us.
Yeah, there's a couple
Yeah.
bands that kind of got forced on us as support bands, and that we did not get along with.
Oh no, that's
Sort of-
terrible.
And didn't like their music, and
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
crowd generally didn't like their music and would let it be known to
Oh,
them
no.
while they were
Oh,
on
wow.
stage and shit.
That's
Those were tours I vaguely remember, and I probably don't remember them a lot because you just drink more.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
on tour,
yeah.
but these guys are kind of assholes.
This song is in my head all day and all night. The only time this song is not, I wake up with it in my head. I go to bed, I go to sleep with it in my head. The only time it's not in my head is when we are playing. It has become a weird, like, obsessive compulsive disorder that's going on without me, and I'm like, please stop hearing this song in your head. The second night, they played it second, and then they went into the third song, and I'm going, and I just had to go back outside, go into the tour bus, climb into my bunk, get this song up on YouTube, and just press it against my head and just listen to it like 6 times in a row. Like, okay, I've got to go back in and catch the rest of this.
That's great.
So the sound is like, it's thanks to you guys and like, I mean, BJM, like it's just like the 60s revival thing that was like,
Yeah.
thanks to you guys. I don't know, like I remember like other than actual 60s music, like in the 90s, there wasn't really, like it wasn't as accessible,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I love
you had to
the-
hunt it down. It's
Yeah.
like only the,
Yeah.
only the
Miracle
cool
Workers and the.
I mean, there was always like 60s revival-ish
Well, there was like
bands,
there was like shoegaze, right? Like which had like kind of like that psychedelic, but it was more just about tone structures than like that. It's almost like a kind of more like
Do you know the 3 o'clock? Do you have any
I'm not familiar.
recollection? The San Diego scene had this mod scene, and then that kind of bled into this LA. What do they call themselves? The Paisley
Underground.
The Paisley Underground.
oh right, yeah.
And so there were some cool bands, and
Definitely.
the Bangles came out of that.
Oh, really?
That
Interesting.
Oh,
scene.
that's interesting.
Was it Rain Parade? Or was
Yeah, Rain Parade. The 3 o'clock had 2 kind of MTV hits. One called, I think Her Head's Revolving, and the other one is called Jet Fighter. And they're great 80s versions of 60s.
Oh, cool.
Really cool.
I'm gonna have
that's
to look that up
The
because that
3
sounds
o'clock.
awesome. This is actually a good segue. So like, talking about like kind of the accessibility of other music, right? Like if you wanted to find something, I think I saw you said something in an interview about like, you know, knowing every single person that worked at the cool record store, like every record store, because you might just go in there and look for hours and not buy anything.
Yeah.
That's like, now you just like open Spotify and you can listen to any music that's ever been.
I mean, it's so different now, because you used to be able to, like, if somebody's walking down the street, like, towards you and they had a certain haircut or certain boots or whatever, you'd know what kind of music they listen to.
Totally.
And you'd know whether you're going to be friends with them or not.
100%.
And that just doesn't happen anymore.
No, a guy I worked for, I remember him saying like, it used to be if you saw a girl with a nose ring, you knew she liked cool music. And now, I don't know.
That's so true. You know, it means blue hair and a nose ring means something else. You know,
Yeah,
It
now
doesn't-
it's...
You don't have to be smart or cultured or informed or open-minded or it's just like
It's not even like particularly subversive. It's just style.
no trendy.
Yeah. Well, so, and then speaking of like how things have changed too in terms of like technology, I mean,
Oh,
you're
here we
talking
go. Yeah,
about
yeah.
like recording on a 4-track and all these kind of, you know, really like analog things. And even honestly, the fucking amazing video for Last Junkie on Earth, you know, just like watching the behind the scenes of that. And it's like what, you know, filmmaking
Yeah.
looked like at that point. And now you're making this video with AI.
Just
Like, does that just blow your mind? Like how different everything is from when you started?
daily. Oh yeah, we've seen the biggest change. I mean, we come from a different time and place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was cool. I mean, it was really cool. Where we are from, that planet was rad. Yeah, now, I mean, it's just, it's hard to know, it's hard remembering what it was like, you know, that hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts to know that that's gone. And I don't enjoy social media. I don't really do it or anything like that. I enjoy the world. I enjoy walking out the door and walking into the world and walking from this place to that place and talking to people and not, you know, not reading the news, not trying to not get involved with the Uber driver, with this global devastation or this disgusting act of inhuman cruelty and shit like that. You know, it's like, God, it's such a negative world now compared. I mean, it was pretty negative in the 90s, but it didn't matter. You could avoid it.
Right, yeah, you could just like not turn on the radio. It wasn't like all around you in many
Yeah,
forms.
you just don't go to
consume all
that
the
bar. You
time.
go to that bar, you know.
Right.
You go to that club. You don't go to that place, and you don't do that, you know. You don't go to places that have TVs on.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's kind of, I mean, Summer of Hate, I think, is about like summer of 2020 and how nuts that was in Portland.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
not really.
Not really.
You were born in the summer of love. Were you, that really though, right? Like 68,
Yeah,
69.
July '67.
Yeah, 67. Yeah.
Which my uncle lived there from '64 to '72, so he saw, you know, the race, the women's, the bra burning. You know, I mean, he saw more change and then he saw this summer of love, which was really very similar to what happened in Portland. It wasn't a bunch of goody trustafarian sweet kids who were on their grandma. You know, it was rapists and it was, you know, criminals and scumbags, and they destroyed San Francisco and it stayed destroyed until the late 90s. I mean, it was a shithole when we were going there in the mid 90s to play. It was rad, you know. Artists abound in shitty cities, you know, where it's cheap. But yeah, like, you know, he's like, this is the summer of love, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
That's really
That's interesting
that's
how
the
history can rebrand a thing.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, you just gotta be aware that when a lot of people get together, even for, you know, to draw attention to something shitty and outrageous that needs to be made to go away, they're not going to be alone. They're going to draw an equal number of truly fucked up people that only have anger and hate and ego, their own ego being elevated above other shitty people. And that's going to be on their mind. you know, all day, all night, every day, every night. And so half the people in this world technically are idiots. They have average or below intelligence, and it's just, you know, that happened to Portland. It got it really, really bad. So that's what that song's about, you know. And it's all greed.
Right.
It all starts with some kind of selfish, greedy thing, you know. It's the bad part is.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, that started as an outrage against, you know, racist murderer.
Yeah.
Like that deserves to, you know, to be called out and punished and made an example of.
Mm-hmm.
But to destroy the most open-minded city in Portland,
Right.
is not.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I went there, and I think like toward the end of 2021, and I was like, why is everything still boarded up?
Yeah.
It was crazy. I can't even imagine what it was like at the
And they
time.
left.
It's still kind of boarded
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
There's
it
a lot
is.
that's boarded
Downtown
up
LA is
now.
like that too.
Wow.
Yeah, and they left 20,000 homeless, you know, Fenty party, just partying, freaking out. I did too much. I was screaming. And they're just, you know, the singer that kicked me out of his band. And
Yeah.
he lives on the streets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Well, it's just more of a party. He just like, I don't have to score more than every 3 or 4 days, you know, because when you score, you just share around, man. Then everyone's got your back, you know. So, and they just get high, they get drunk, and they fuck all the time. And that's all they do. Fight, get in arguments, burn each other's tent down, turn the whole street against somebody you don't like. Or, you know, I mean, they're just, I'm on text threads with like 4 or 5 streets because I'm from old Portland, and these people are still kind of my friends,
Yeah.
you know. But they're not doing anything they weren't doing in apartments. It's just they're just doing it in tents now.
Right.
As they let their jobs go, and hey, you guys, you just move in, and we can all split the rent between the 9 of us. Mm-hmm. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon, where they're getting, you know, the crystal meth or the smack or the Fenty or whatever they get, you know. It's just easier to pitch a tent with them now. Like, oh, you know, Leaf and Mountain moved out, and they were the last ones with jobs, so
Yeah.
we don't really have any money to pay the rent, you know. We should just do that. Well, we just buy some tents, man. Mike's got money. He'll buy us some tents. And that's how I've seen, you know, a
Wow.
few of these people do
They
this.
decriminalized something up there too, right?
Everything?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now it's
Good
kind
idea.
of a free-for-all. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, I heard
That
that
worked
didn't
well.
go well.
Yeah, let's do that. Then let's defund the police. That was
Mm-hmm.
that was clever.
Double whammy.
So let's get oh my God, it's just,
I know.
people will believe anything. People will believe anything.
Yeah, I know some other folks that live up there that have, you know, a similar experience where they're just like, whoa, like what's going on? I don't think this is quite the liberal utopia I was told, you know?
Yeah.
Not like the TV show.
Yeah,
But,
what is it, the dream of the 90s? It's not
Yeah.
alive anymore.
Well, like,
Right.
It's not alive anymore.
It might have died
No.
in 2020. I'm curious then, so like, you know, the song is obviously about something really intense. When you went to make the video, I mean, what kind of prompts were you putting into the AI? Like what, you know?
Yeah, I told our buddy J-Lo, and he told his friend Andrew, I think, and so it got, you know, kind of vaguely like, well, what are the Dandy Warhols? First of all, what does AI think we are? Somehow, probably Star Trek
Oh, cool.
got
Okay.
in there, and The Damned.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there's some shots where you look like Danzig in the music video.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Like a big leather daddy, hunky, beefcake boy. I love that shot. Whoa, I never really thought about myself like that. Like, what the-
The voice, though, yeah. It does.
pretty. Yeah, it thought big voice means big meaty guy,
Yeah.
meat man.
I don't know. It's just interesting because it's obviously a really cool product, but I was just curious, like, because all the AIs, like, you have to like kind of tell them, you have to give them instructions.
Yeah, no. But if you give them too many, they rebel.
Oh yeah, yeah. You said something about it has an ego. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, it really feels like it does, you know, because I would go, can we go back to this image? You know, there's one of the me versions that it created is just for a split second after the leather daddy me swings his arm and it's a really good look. It's more like a few generations later of Star Trek. You know, I've got a Nehru collar, like, you know, grayish, bluish, you know, like with just a seam, no buttons, and my hair is down to here, and it's like, oh, that's a cool look. Can you do more of that? No, it totally rebelled. It started spitting out versions of me in that same surrounding, like ICP, like an ICP member, like.
Oh no!
Wow.
Like, yeah, dude. There's like.
Do you like that? Do you? No.
Yeah, you're down with the clowns now. That's you.
Right.
Okay.
And then it would put like, I left one of these things in, like a giant, like primordial fish face going, and it's huge in the cave, and it's just got spikes sticking out of its face everywhere, and it's just in there for a split second. But I had to leave it in there so I could point to it as this is what it does if it doesn't like what you're telling it you want it to do. It'll tweak on you a little bit, which is at the alternative school in Portland, I teach rock band elective, so I deal with teenagers, and they're the same.
Yes. But what is that like, teaching teenagers?
It's really, really hard, and they're just weird. And these are the best ones. These are the ones that learn how to play instruments and you know, think about their look and who they are and who they aren't. I mean, they're probably earlier than other kids there, and yeah, wow, it sure brings back a lot of memories of my own behavior, and it's just like, God, I was a dick. I had no idea. I thought I was probably pretty okay at 13, and now I'm looking at these guys and going, oh my God, that's so me. Oh my God, I was a dick. That's unbelievable. Yeah, you have to, you know, kids are kids. You know, they are uncompleted.
Right.
You know, we're all born. What's his name? Matt Stone said that what made South Park easy is that kids are born bad, and we have to teach them to not be.
Right.
But it's a fact, and so it's easy. You know, just keep them at this age,
Right.
and you know.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Stupid ideas followed through and then lied about so they can continue, you know, that kind of.
Linda, like 13, 14-year-olds are pretty nuts too. I mean, they're sort of functionally insane. But but they must appreciate like being taught guitar though. Like that's probably like the thing.
No, they have to know how to play guitar. They have to know how to play it. What I'm trying to do is to teach them. I don't allow them to play cover songs.
Oh, cool.
And you have to learn how to write songs. You know,
That's
you
so
have
rad.
and you have to learn how to make them what you think is cool.
Right.
You know, so I do it in our studio, so we can record rehearsal, and then I can go in and, do you want to double this vocal? Does this sound cooler? Or, you know, turn the double down. You know, so they're all learning to make decisions, not only whether they want this to sound like this, but whether they want to even say anything about it or even bring it up or have their opinion, duke it out with the keyboardist, you know, or whatever. I mean, I'm really just about them learning I'm teaching literally rock band elective.
That's
not,
so cool.
Not music elective or anything, just like how to be in a band, communicating about the abstraction music. No, I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4, then boosh and nail it and go to the first chord again, the chord from the first part, and they're just so frustrated, you know. And then the rototom player, you know, finally, who never says anything, is just, there's so much tension and caustic energy there, you know, and like, God. And I don't know if it was because of the band, but the girl that plays drums quit, broke up with the guitar player.
Oh no!
Threw all his shit out of the locker into the hallway and called him an asshole at school. You know, and I was like, is this because of the band?
Yeah, well,
Amazing.
that
Rock
tracks,
band.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh man, yeah, like
So do they get a good grade for doing that? Because that sounds like a rock band.
Right.
right, like rewarded for
Yeah.
extra
A
behavior.
plus.
But I love it. I love that you're kind of trying to like mentor them toward like, you know, maybe you get to skip a couple of the pitfalls if you just like talk to your bandmates better or like learn how these things work.
Yeah. I think that's probably what I thought when I signed up for the
How's it going?
No, you don't.
No.
They don't avoid any pitfalls. They fall in every one of them, and I guess they have to.
Yeah, I guess that's what teenagers do, right?
But then you also teach them how to express that in song.
Yeah, at least they can channel it.
Oh yeah, I keep telling them, you gotta write the song,
Yeah.
The locker of lies.
The locker
That's
of
not
lies.
bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Locker of lies.
Oh my gosh, Locker of Lies is going to be a big hit.
Yeah.
We'll have Zia sing that one. She's got the best voice for it.
Well, we'll look for that in what, like 2025?
At the rate we go, yeah.
Yeah. No, never.
Well, I think we're about out of time because you guys got stuff to do. But
Probably, yeah, I don't hear the Black Angels anymore, which means that we're about.
We're up soon.
do you guys want to like play us out with anything? Something new, something old? Last Junkie on Earth?
Today, and if you think that I don't know about depression and emotional pain, you're insane. Oh, you're a fool who hasn't paid attention to a word that I say. In a way, I can't help but feel responsible. Always knew that you were insane with your pain, but I never thought you'd be a junkie, 'cause heroin is so passe. Heroin is so passe. Heroin is so passe.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Courtney,
You
Pete.
don't want to do the whole thing.
This is amazing. Dude, I just have to give it up for these guys. They were cool as hell, full of good stories, just super open and vulnerable and funny. And yeah, could not be happier about how all of that went. Terence and I were lucky enough to stay for the show, and it was honestly just fucking magical. The opener, Daystar, was incredible. The Black Angels were amazing, and it was just surreal to me to finally see the Dandies live after listening to them for all these years. It doesn't end there. We ran into our buddy and episode 3 guest Adam Sabolic of Double Wish at the show, not to mention my old roommate Sean and my friend Nikki Newman, who was there to photograph the band. And if that wasn't enough, we went to the after party and ran into none other than episode 9 guest Aria Pullman. Are these really our lives? Are we in a simulation? I don't know, but it was a great night. The Dandy Warhols just wrapped up their US tour, and their new single, Summer of Hate, is streaming now. The wild AI-generated video is online as well. We'll include links to those and all the other things we talked about in the show notes. They've got more music coming in 2024, so look forward to that. Maybe go ahead and give them a follow on their socials. We'd love it if you would follow us as well. We're at Rockwardness on Instagram and TikTok, and we are on all of the podcasting platforms. We would sure appreciate a follow, rate, and review wherever it is you listen. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. Tell your homies, tell your mom, tell your Instagram followers, anyone you think might dig what we're doing. We love you, and we're glad to be back. We have a bunch more incredible episodes coming this year, so stay tuned. We will see you next week.